Hey guys, back again. Want to put another one out. It's a pretty scary one, so if things scare you, you may not want to watch it, or maybe not at night. Also, we got our live coming up tomorrow night, 7 o'clock p.m. Um, I'm looking forward to doing that, discussing the Girl Scout murders, and hopefully we can get some questions answered, learn some things together. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this one, guys. Joe Barger in 2017. He was a 6 year Army veteran. He was transporting 43,000 pounds of paper from a mill in northern Michigan. Through the forest on a typical route, he encountered a dog man on an evening in June. He said he had never heard of the cryptid before the incident, which took place at about 15 to 20 seconds. He says, I would swear as a Christian on a Bible that is 100% factual and true. Leading up the encounter, Barger realized while driving he had a leak. Wanting to fix it before he got too far into the forest, he stopped to look at it. He found the air leak by the back brake chamber on the trailer. It's nothing for semi drivers to get out to have air leaks on their air brakes and stuff, to get out and fix these things on their own. These guys are hard workers. They do a lot. Shout out to the truck drivers. While Barger was fixing the problem, he got a bad feeling while he was under the trailer. He said he was hearing vocalizations that he had never heard before in the woods, things that weren't normal, things he had never heard. He said, I was hearing things that was unnatural. I wasn't a sound I'd ever heard before. It was still plenty of daylight to be able to see, and I could not see anything. I then just figured it was a bear. Going up the hill, he looked to the right side mirror on his semi, and I saw that it was darker than it should be. There was a wolf head the size of my window, and my windows were down. I was about 20 to 25 miles an hour at that point, and he was stooping down on two legs looking down inside of my cabin. I'm at 9 feet tall in my seat. His hands were coming up, scratching my window sill on my door handle. I could hear his claws. You know, that reminded me of a video I'd done with my mom down at the lake. We saw this creature walking up on us at night while we were fishing. It walked kind of bent over, hunched in the back. It came toward us, and as it came toward us, I yelled at it to stop because we'd had rocks and sticks thrown at us that night, and I was taking this as a threat. And it continued to come at us, and as it continued to come at us, it had something in its hand. I was sure it was a weapon, and it continued at us. I yelled at it to turn around, and it was going to be bad if it didn't, and I drew my weapon. It let out the weirdest laugh you guys have ever heard. It turned around and then walked back off into the woods. We then loaded our stuff, and on our way out, I had to drive between trees and down a trail, and there were some pretty good holes and stuff that your truck just fits through. It did run up to the side of my truck, hit it, and try to open my door. So I do know these things will try to open your door, and they will try to pull you out. So make sure your windows are up and your doors are locked. I've personally experienced that, and they will do that. That was scary as hell. He says it had a lot of sharp teeth, and the teeth on this thing were just a brilliant white. 3-inch long fangs, bottom and top. Pure black pointed ears. It had yellow eyes with human-like hands probably 14 inches across. It was at least 10 feet tall from how it was stooping onto my cabin. His yellow eyes were darting all over the place, and he was looking at me. How this creature looked was mad and determined to get me. Can you imagine something's on the side of your truck at night, you're by yourself in the woods, a big old truck that's not real maneuverable, you're trying to get up speed, your window's down, you're out there alone, and this thing looking the way it looks, trying to get in the cab of your truck. He said that's when I remembered I had a handgun, a .45 Colt strapped to my waist, and I took 2 shots at the creature. He instantly went down, Barger said. I was looking at him as he was sliding into the weeds. I was almost at point-blank range, so I'm pretty sure I got him through the eye orbit. His head was huge. Everything on this animal was black except his teeth and his eyes. I wasn't really panicked, but it was the scariest I'd ever been in my life. Barger assumed the creature to be dead. He wanted to turn around and check the carnage to make sure he didn't lose his mind. About a mile up the road, he found a spot large enough to turn his truck around in. As Barger was coming back down the hill, at almost 5 minutes after the shooting, it was gone. In its place was a jeep of 2 people. Barger said he was concerned about the people being somewhere potentially dangerous, so he stopped and walked up, continued to talk to him. 3 months later, Barger said he was detained at a scale house by state police to wait for federal authorities. When federal authorities, first showed up, they were very intimidating and angry, he said in the video that he had also done. I didn't know what was going on. They said, you killed one of our assets, and this is how things are going to go down. Barger knew the only thing he killed in the last year was the creature that attacked him at his truck. This was their property, and they were mad that I killed it, and they were trying to get me to stop talking about it. They probably knew who I was from the narration of the story. In the video, Barger said, federal authorities threatened him, confiscated his gun, shut his bank account off for some time. I stopped talking about it until recently, he said. This is probably another tool in their toolbox for military operations of some kind, and if they don't stop it under wraps, it won't be a useful tool anymore for them. The Dogman has been around in the minds of Michiganders for the last 130 years, starting in 1887. That's when 2 lumberjacks saw a creature that described as a man having a huge dog's head. These things will try to get in your vehicles. They will get in your tents. There's a lot of things I'm reading right now. People pulled out of their tents. People pulled out of their vehicles. There was a man on a motorcycle that was chased by one down the highway. And whenever he was getting away from it, it dropped to all fours and almost caught him again when it dropped to all fours on a motorcycle. I think that a lot of the doctor we covered and a lot of the other people that we found that have been dead in the ditches with their cars sitting there, they have been lured. These creatures probably act like they're a ran over animal that's wounded. People stop to help it. It's the last time. If you see anything like that on the highway, my suggestion is get a good location, call the authorities, let them know where it's at, let them go check it out. Don't do it yourself. Anytime that you're afraid or scared or whatever, do not hang out. Leave. Call the authorities. I don't recommend checking it out yourself. Let them do it. They're paid for it. They're trained for it. And they have resources to be able to do it a lot better than you do. It's not worth your life. There may be more than one. And it may not be a fast death. It may be a long, prolonged death at which you're either shredded or consumed alive, as some of these people have been. The things that you will see while they're doing this may be things that you can't even fathom. The Bible says that there will be some things that we will see that will stop a young man's heart to cause it to fail. So you can only imagine what some of these things may look like. I'm not advocating not protecting yourself, but also I'm not telling people to go out and do what I do to look for these things. They're dangerous. And these last 2 videos I've released, the one yesterday and this one today, shows they're not nice. They're not something you want to make friends with. They're not something, eventually, in my opinion, I know a lot will differ, but eventually, in my opinion, you end up on their food chain. You're on the menu. Maybe not then, maybe not right at that moment, but eventually I think that's where you end up. I knew a guy for a long time, said he had one coming up to his house. He fed it, talked to it, said it talked to him, vocalized, wouldn't bother anything, come up, look in the windows, it ain't going to hurt you, and blah, 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 blah. He was killed sometime later, and they blamed it on a bobcat. We know bobcats don't do that. He was shredded, dismembered. I talked to the police officer that was there. It was so bad that they had to bring a bulldozer in, or a front loader, or whatever he called it, and they had to scoop the ground up, or the guy was slaughtered because he had saturated into the ground so much to get rid of it. These things, at one point or another, are going to get you. Until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel. Be safe. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow night, Oklahoma time, 7 p.m. for the live, and we'll discuss a lot of this. I appreciate each and every one of you.